That would usually
Where's
be
Chris?
Rick.
Space, I wanna get a reserve parking space for my house.
You want to reserve parking?
No, it's like right away.
Harville's right away.
Oh, that's right, we're talking about
Can I
that
just
part.
finish my cookie? I'm not taking notes for this one.
You can.
Reserve.
Chris is here, yay! I was like, please don't make me take.
Right, get
I brought lunch with me,
a
because I was like, I'm ready.
It started, you've got 2 people, on, I don't know who they are, that's your call, how you wanna handle and address.
All right. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Did everybody, get a chance to read the minutes
Sure.
from the 2 previous meetings?
Looks great, good job, thank you.
Nobody caught that it was the wrong date on the top, but I did fix that.
Mine
I do
is
it-
August 27th.
I do it all the time.
No, the minutes
The minutes.
Oh,
from last,
Yeah. Oh, wait, hey, we're not at the council meeting yet, that's wrong. Here we go.
All right.
Oh, wow, see, now look, there's just like 4 agenda items.
much easier.
Well, the other one had like 12. Okay, 9. And a bunch of ABCD.
Okay.
Does anybody wanna make a motion?
Make a motion to approve meeting minutes for July 23rd and August 13th. Is that how we have it?
Yeah,
Wait.
no, but I'll just take it.
With amended date.
Amended date.
With the amended date.
Perfect.
Just one amendment.
That was a big one.
Okay, next on the agenda is to create a resolution to apply for, a grant for electric chargers at Lions Park. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but I think this is similar to what we created to authorize the application for the Arbor Day grant. Is that,
So we just give the mayor the, something we
Just
authorize him to,
so I haven't seen this yet. My understanding, generally what happens is somebody comes and basically gets, it depends on the nature of the grant, and Corey, you may be able to, but generally these grants are entered on behalf of the city.
correct.
And so somebody preparing a grant and then there's a secondary portion of that, or I don't know if it's, this isn't on for tonight, this is just kind of first discussion of it, right?
right?
So depending on the nature of the resolution, it could be to approve entity X to go out and create a grant. And then generally what happens is there's a second resolution where you basically authorize, now I've seen it, let's go ahead and submit it. But this is checking with us before we go. Corey, anything you want to add or change to that?
I think you've got it. This is, to, provide the match funding for a potential awarded grant.
So that's not what I see that this is. This is actually saying about applying. So, but you're saying there's an additional part that there would additional be some match funding required. Is this the one that we built into the,
Yeah, we,
this?
yeah.
This is the one that came out of resort tax.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
already budgeted for a potential match, but now we have to apply for the grant to get the match.
And I think what she's saying is in that resolution is that the city will say, yes, go ahead and move forward, and yes, we are committed to paying this match.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, there we
In the budget.
There you go, yeah.
Budget gets approved.
Yep.
Well, but we
Just
won't
the-
spend it unless it's there,
Yeah.
but, okay.
I think it's just to see that commitment on paper is what's
So,
being asked.
so who's gonna build the resolution, and who is the party X?
I believe Party X is Alan Best.
Alan was doing it.
I think Alan's probably on Zoom.
Alan?
Yeah.
I am.
Alan,
Hey, guys.
Are you iPhone?
He is iPhone.
I have no idea. I'm trying to figure that out. I guess I am.
Well, if that's you talking, what I can do is I can change you.
Sure, yeah.
You're changed.
Hey, thanks.
Need a wand.
There's an old joke about that, but I won't go there.
You dating yourself.
Turn page. Okay, so,
So have you started this grant at all yet, sir?
No, but I could write it very fast. I have plenty of other templates that I've, from prior successful grants, so it would be really, I think, pretty easy.
So I
one
think
thing
I think what we need for the resolution then, if with that piece of information in mind, is somebody needs to go back and just look at one of the resolutions that we have done, I would look at Community Foundation, who has
Yeah,
done several of these.
It's our.
And they basically come and ask for permission to fill out a grant on behalf of the city, and then to submit the grant on behalf of the city. And so both of those examples will be there.
Okay.
So whoever you guys deem.
I can do it.
Yeah, okay, great,
Chelsea, you're gonna do that? Thank you.
thank you. I was gonna offer, but.
I'm gonna
I
do a
wasn't.
bunch of
Do it.
resolutions, so.
Yay.
I just got practice today, I wanna get more practice, so let's
Okay.
do this.
Volunteer on that one. You got it.
Do you think that you will have that, when do you think you'll have that finished?
It is due by,
Yeah, give me a homework, like, give it like a homework assignment.
What's the
Give me a due date.
what's the timeframe that you need to be able to submit your
November, right?
grant, Alan? Let me phrase it.
I could write
Here's
up,
the timeframe the city needs to submit the grant.
November 1st is the deadline. And, so a couple days before that would be great. I'd be happy to write up the text. I could do that really fast. Probably the limiting factor, is that we would need, Henry Dykema of Sundance Solar to, accept the challenge of writing up a bid. And maybe the only complication there is that it would involve a carport. But with 2 months, a little more than 2 months, I'm hopeful that he would be able to do that. I sent out an email to him, have not heard back yet, but maybe we can send out our feelers and make sure he would be interested. If not, it might be a little more complicated, maybe involving getting someone from Billings who would be interested to come down here and do that. But the actual writing of the grant would be cake.
You said something in there that I didn't understand the words. You said it would involve a call course?
a
or
car course?
Car course?
Carport.
Carport.
Oh,
Carport, yeah, the sport carport, yeah.
Okay, noted, sorry. I was thinking a car course, like, oh my God, car course. Drive it?
So now that I understood the word you said, state there's a complication that it may involve building a carport that doesn't exist?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something
Yeah,
that he's
It's-
been helping with. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Alan.
it just, sure, so what we would need by November 1 is like a write-up. Henry Dykema has done plenty of these in terms of what it would cost and like, not exactly a bid, but an estimate of the cost, and that's what we would submit with the Northwestern Energy grant application. And so we would just need to get Henry Dykema to say, yes, he's interested in the job. And from his point of view, I'm guessing that he might have some questions about how much the carport part is going to cost. But as long as like we're in touch with him in the next month or so, and he's willing and interested, then it would be easy to write the rest of the application. That should not be a problem.
A couple things I want to amend, and again, when you do the research on what the Community Foundation has done.
Yep.
It may be that they've put together these grants and what they're getting is just our permission to submit them.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no requirement, I don't think, to have somebody go out and research something. They just can't act or
And so the way that
behalf
we,
of the city.
I think the reason that we're doing this is because Alan's gone through and put together a lot of grants and then has it come to the city
Right.
and get shut down. Because we don't have a chance to think about it first, to ask those questions. This is essentially saying like, yes, we
Came to
want
us
you to
first.
move forward with actually writing the grant and
Okay.
don't waste your time, because he was
Okay.
doing that before.
And I'm not gonna, and I would
That's my
push back and
understanding.
argue with that a little bit, because to my knowledge, there's only one that was actually not pursued.
So I think that this is a way that we can create a system to where, because it's not hard for us to put this together, so that way he can feel confident moving forward.
Okay, and I'm okay with that, it's just that the city has to submit it.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
and particularly when we're making commitments of dollars or lands or other things, so, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we just wanted to make sure that we gave him the
Our
okay,
blessing.
yes,
Yeah.
go ahead and pursue
Yeah.
it before
This
he
is-
did all the work
This
and
is a
presented
written
it, and we.
blessing, and until that's a legal
Exactly.
document or
Yeah,
a government document, we'll do it via resolution.
No, and that is the legal, and, yeah, I think it's probably good to have the whole council back on that, but then, and then just that it won't be submitted until then. Now, is this
Yeah.
the same one? Didn't we talk about these solar panels being on top of the
Mhm.
restrooms at one point as well?
Yeah,
Yes,
Is-
yeah,
Is
those
that
are
the same?
They're two separate applications, but they would be submitted, I think, at the same time for the same grant application cycle. So, yeah.
Who's paying for the carports?
That is included in the grant request to Northwestern Energy. And in terms of the 10% match, that was included in the information that was submitted to the Resort Tax Committee.
That is in the budget.
Yep.
What,
Yeah.
do you remember the amount of that, Alan?
Which this is me.
3,000.
For the three, thank you, Corey.
That would be the match.
Tracy, you
3,000?
you have a staff in.
That's the city match.
Question on carport, so this is covered parking, covered public parking?
Not necessarily.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
Well, we talked about actually moving it onto the grass too instead.
People are gonna park on the grass?
We are
No, no,
working, no, we're
No,
working
not the
with,
carport part, that'd be out where.
No, the part that they were looking for the grass were just the
The
panels,
Gazebo,
but,
they were
and,
talking
yeah,
about
we've got,
gazebo
putting a new
on the
gazebo
grass
in the grass.
with panels on top of that.
But I don't
There's
think
been a
that
lot of
moved
different
forward.
things.
Yeah, because we had identified some potential problems with having the carport and, you know,
Well,
plowing.
Whatever carport you do, because it's gonna be public parking, is going to, an engineer is gonna sign off on the drawing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna, I mean, it's gonna meet all the requirements
Right.
for that covered parking. The $900 carport is not gonna work. Just like one of the ones you buy in the box. You can put them in your yard all you want. but-
So
No, no,
the,
it starts
the
getting into
design was
public
gonna be
park.
done by Back Alley Metals for the actual legs, feet
And I think he's
structure.
already
And he's already been working
with
with
Nick,
Nick on that.
from my understanding, or he's.
So it's not
talked-
just like a pop-up one that we buy at Costco.
Okay.
And
But
he's gonna make it.
but I hear what you're
Civil
saying.
engineer to sign off on the wind, the snow load, all those parts of it. That's from the foundation up, so what's going in the ground, how are you gonna attach it? Is it gonna hold up to hundred and 15-mile-an-hour wind? Is it gonna hold up to the 106-pound snow load? Those are the things that are gonna be required for a carport, just,
Thank
In
you,
other words,
thank you.
just to let everybody
meet the
know.
building codes of
Meet
the
the
city.
building.
Yes,
Yes.
Are we gonna sell pay-per-view, to resolve the fights for people fighting for the covered public parking in the covered public gas station?
Well, it's gonna be
Yeah,
EV
free
only,
gas
so.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm just thinking out loud.
I got
Okay.
you.
I'm just saying it's gonna be for EV cars, so it's gonna be,
That'll
you
be,
know,
that would be a fun pay-per-view.
Yeah, well, you know,
Right.
that could be, Mr. Mayor, that's a great idea for an additional revenue stream. I don't think any of us have thought of. In terms of the quality of carport, we were budgeting just under $10,000. I think about $8,000, $9,000 was what I saw the most applicable and most examples of for sale for a 4-car covered carport. So I don't think we're talking about something super cheap. And if anyone wants, if I'm able to help out, maybe get some details to the city engineer or whatever to sign off, I'd be more than happy to help move that ball down the field.
It's a professional engineering corp that puts their stamp on it and provides it to the city as a required document.
Cool. Well, I imagine that would not have to happen before the grant application is submitted by the November 1 deadline. But we should definitely make sure that Henry Dykema is on board or interested. And if not, then we'll need, you know, most of the next 2 months, I would imagine, to entice an entity, a solar panel installer outside of the city in order to get the official like ballpark cost estimates so that we could submit with the application. So let me know how I can help.
So going back, I'm actually hearing 2 different applications.
Mhm.
One for solar panels on top of the restrooms, which we've talked about before, which will probably still requiring some engineering stamps and approval because we're adding additional load on it. Right?
yeah, but usually the solar installers provide all that.
okay.
Okay,
And that goes with the roof structure, just. to
and
make
so
sure.
that's something we already have a structure to put them on.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is pretty much a no-brainer.
Mhm.
When it gets to the point of adding additional structures and parking and stuff, that to me is a question for council.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that is the right thing and we can do it? Is it scalable? Or what's the request gonna look like tomorrow when somebody's gonna come and request something else kind of similar but a little bit different? And are we opening something we don't wanna open? And
Could I say something?
Mhm.
The solar panels, there would be 22 solar panels for the EV chargers. We were reluctant to use solar panels, ground-mounted solar panels.
Mhm.
I was worried about vandalism.
Yeah.
Other people were worried about, what does it look like?
Or
Alan's
kids
been
falling
working, aesthetically, Alan's been working with the Art Skills to create a design for the carport, which would have the solar panels on top of it. And so that's the reason for the carport.
Yep,
One of the major.
It's
reasons.
multi-purpose.
So kind of like what's at the Roosevelt Center where they're just getting them
Correct.
off, so they're not
Getting
at
them up
ground
out of
level.
Correct.
yeah.
Did they look at putting it on top of the Arts Guild and structurally, they decided structurally it wasn't?
I think it was that.
I thought they were
Good.
separate.
I think the
I don't
meter
think
has to
it's
be,
recent,
I don't.
Yeah.
the meter and the building that the panels are on have to be tied together
Yeah,
for
that was-
Northwest Energy Grant.
Gotcha.
They were separate.
Okay.
That's
It-
why we were looking at tying together the meter for the
Bathroom.
EV and the bathroom at one point.
Because we were
Just to
thinking
back
about
up a
possibly
second.
doing the hockey field too, but
Mhm.
that doesn't work.
Yeah, because of where the meters are at.
Yeah.
And if I could back up a second, what is actually on our, agenda is a grant application for electric vehicle chargers, not,
That's
Oh.
to replace the chargers that are
yeah,
there,
not,
correct?
not the solar
And
panels.
that's not a Northwest Energy Grant, that's like a Tesla grant, that's something.
Mhm.
I don't
So-
think that would, I don't think we'd be able to get a Tesla grant for that, but I believe that was included in information that was presented to the Resort Tax Committee. $3,000 request to replace the 2 broken and 1 very old and about to break EV charger at the station. But yeah, those are definitely
Yeah, I don't think
different.
That is not the application, this is
Yeah.
actually for the sport, okay, I'm gonna change this,
Did we ever resolve what budget that resort tax money's going into, so that?
yes.
It's actually a line item, it's a line item called improvements within the park's bigger block of the resort tax. So
So
it-
it goes into park.
It's part of the bigger budget of parks, but it's not the same line item as park maintenance, which is its own line item. And I
But
can,
it's in the parks.
yeah,
I can show
Parks
you
and
exactly where it
resorts.
is, but it's-
Yeah.
It's in the parks.
the,
I just wanna know where the free.
the
gas
free
station
public gas station
public
is a
works
park.
is Parks. Better than streets.
Yeah. Okay, so we have those coming out of the budget, just budget items. I think that this resolution was intended for, because it's solar panels for the electric chargers. That's essentially what
Okay.
that is. So I think it's just, we were missing a word.
missing a few words,
Yeah.
okay.
Or solar chargers for electric
Solar
chargers.
panels for electric chargers, whether they are on the roof of the bathroom or in a.
Yeah, so there's gonna be 2, yeah. And so with the carport thing, just asking, because I don't know what money looks like for an engineer.
I don't have no idea.
Oh, man.
And it's
I thought
not
for
that
sure
that's
you
part,
would.
that's part of the grant.
Yeah, I think that's part of the grant.
I would imagine that some of these, like the higher end ones that I think Alan had a picture of, they probably have some kind of engineering. which may-
They may, the people who sell them may provide the engineering stamps with them.
Yeah,
The covered parking at Habitat for Humanity was $100,000.
up at the, fires?
At the apartments. The rental ones.
I mean, this wouldn't, he kind of showed me a picture, this wouldn't be, but it's still an engineer signed off footer frame system to withstand everything.
Okay,
And he could build it just for an engineer drawing.
Correct.
Yeah.
okay. So Alan, are you hearing that? So I think that's just something we'll want included in that grant to make sure that engineering is, that is going to be taken care of with those grant funds for the new structure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll make a note to include that in the application itself. And in terms of how much that costs, I think I threw in the round number of $10,000 for the cost of the carport before the solar panels. And, but the actual cost is based on, Google searches is probably more like 8,000 to 9,000. So would it be reasonable to assume that it would cost about $1,000 to get the engineer to sign off? And yes, maybe the carport manufacturer does include all the specs that would make it really easy for a said engineer to do their job in that regard.
Yeah, I think that's just what we find out is if if that's something that is stamped on, by the person building the carport. Does that make sense?
Cool, second that.
Does that make sense to everyone in the room? I see a lot of eyes kind of rolling.
There's some stuff that I think is still to be developed, and that's normal, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
I think this is putting this together, know that ultimately what's gonna happen is there's going to be a resolution saying, yes, the city is, and in fact, the application isn't gonna be signed by Alan, it's gonna probably be signed by our Public Works Director,
Mhm.
or as whoever we deem from a city, if it's a planner position, that grant, so you're preparing the grant, but it's not gonna be Alan submitting it, it's the city, which we talked about, but I'm just saying is, so if there's questions that you anticipate coming up, I think it's absolutely fair and appropriate to reach out and say, I wanna make sure these are covered in the grant that you're gonna be signing your name on.
Yeah.
And could I say something real quick? It sounds like we have 3 grants in one resolution. Is that possible to do?
I thought it was 2.
Well, we have the restrooms, the public restrooms, which is minimal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's 6 or 8 panels that might.
But
go
is the
on.
grant involved in that process?
I
Okay.
think that would
I
be
think
a
so, too.
separate grant
Yeah. Mhm.
from the, carport grant.
Okay,
And then the third grant would, and those 2 are both Northwest Energy grants,
but they're 2 separate grants,
2 separate
so
grants.
therefore 2 separate resolutions.
Correct, 2 separate resolutions.
Yeah, I think you do it as good, but they'll be very, very easy, here's one, here's the other.
So they
Okay.
just
And
change
what's the
it.
Yeah.
third?
Okay, and
Yeah.
then the third one would be to replace, 3 out of 4 of
The chargers
No.
themselves.
I
the
thought,
chargers themselves.
I thought that was just a budgeted item.
Well, no, what's
I don't know
budgeted
that.
is I think the co-payers,
Whole different money.
Chris, you have a hand?
I don't know that for sure.
As I understand, we don't intend to apply for any grants for the replacing the 3 EV chargers themselves. That's pretty small bucks, $3,000, that's rounding up a couple of times. But that request specifically for the money to replace the 3 chargers was included in what was presented to Resort Tax
Yeah, so
Committee.
that's
So there's no grant applications.
That-
Yeah.
And thank you very much for
Okay, I
that.
apologize, got it.
No, you got us to clarity. That was
Thank you.
nothing to apologize for.
Okay.
And what are, Alan, if you could, what is the name of the actual grants? What are the names of the actual grants?
Northwestern Energy E+ Renewables.
And if we put in multiple grants, are they going to approve one and not the other, or are they as equal, likely to approve both of them?
Well, I'm gonna guess that they're gonna be likely to approve both of them because just in this past funding cycle, May 1st was when they made the announcements for our 2 applications a year ago, November 1st of 23. We got both of them. One was for Public Works building south end of town, and the other was for the recycling center. And so I'm hopeful that they'll do the same thing this time and approve too. And, they might look to see what our progress status is on those 2 grants, which we have been awarded. But yes, I'm hopeful that both of them would get approved in the same round. And I would guess we would find out around, middle of May of 25 if we get those applications in on time.
Okay. Thank you.
was a lot.
2025, okay. Yeah, kind of well.
And that's probably number 4 on the agenda too.
Oh, your update? That's your, thank you, okay.
Yeah, if that's okay.
Yeah, no
that's-
worries. Yep, perfect. Unless you have anything else to.
Well, actually, we do have one more thing, as a matter of fact. Could I just go ahead and say
Sure,
this right now?
yep.
We're also looking at a feasibility study for developing a microgrid. Remember, this was a hang-up last year, and the problem was, we just didn't know enough about it. We didn't know if it would work.
Right.
We didn't know where it would be. We didn't know how we could put it together.
We didn't
The
feel like-
timeline-
We didn't feel like the battery technology is
Yeah,
there yet, too.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Still probably isn't.
we're looking at applying for a feasibility grant from the, from DEQ to, and Chelsea said that she would bring that forward to the council, but when we're ready for that. But just It is just to look into it.
Right, so
Is
that
it
would
even
cover, the
possible?
DEQ grant would cover the feasibility study?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And that could come up relatively soon. So, but that would provide the education that we need to see if it's even a reality or an option.
And that would address something like Mike's concerns about the
Oh,
battery
absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely, it would address the.
Because that was our big thing why we shut it down, is none of us felt comfortable that it was actually something we were able to do.
Mhm.
So we basically insisted that do a feasibility study and make it a shovel-ready project.
So that's,
That's on the
stay
mark.
tuned.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for
Thank you.
jumping in and letting me jump in.
Next up is, Public Works update.
I think type anything up for this one.
Oh, I was like,
We type,
Busy.
dang it. I like the
are you
handout.
gonna go like stormwater, wastewater,
Sure.
water, streets, pool, parks, other?
Stormwater, we're,
She's got a bullet. Got it already.
we have 54 days left in contract, and we're doing good. They've completed 11, well, except for crossing Broadway. Now we're going down
Hi,
Oak
Corey.
Street.
Thank you.
Bye, Corey, thank you.
And this part of the project's been the most difficult part so far, going across 11. We're hoping going down Oaks, it'll improve. And then when that's done, we're gonna jump back to 8 and cross again and come over by the IGA, so there's still quite a bit to do. Pavers are working, they'll be putting down asphalt tomorrow, and,
Lots of fun to drive down.
yeah.
Asphalt,
They're gonna, the same pavers that are here for Wilson's are also doing the FEMA project, so they're just gonna jump to that as soon as they're done with this, which is paving little pieces and parts of Hagen, Platt, and 14th, 15th, 13th. We've got on stormwater, we've got a design for extending the stormwater up to the mine. We're working on the cost of that right now. Should have the cost by the end of the week.
when you say mine, that you're talking about the
The
sales.
Sunset Mine?
Yeah, for the, and we are still working on the design of the stormwater legs that'll come up and grab the DOT inlets on Broadway that are now tied to the sewer. So,
Oh, okay.
and I think that's it on stormwater. Water, one thing we're gonna have going tomorrow, there's a pretty substantial leak. There's a chunk of old cast iron pipe just between Broadway and Oaks that feeds like the county annex building and, the Century building, CenturyLink. When we dug through there, we found that it's leaking, so tomorrow we're gonna dig that up and fix it.
Is it wastewater or stormwater?
That's on water.
Just water. Water, okay.
We had a water leak on Fifth, we fixed last week. And we're working on the inventory for the, service line inventory, which is due October 16th. It's getting very close. We got some money from Department of Commerce, pays for 100 hours of having a technician from Great West enter some data for me, so that helps. I think we'll get the inventory done probably on the 15th at midnight, so it'll be done. What else with water? I think that's about it. We're still throwing around ideas on how to fund the 16-inch bypass, and if we can try and mold two projects together to get more loan forgiveness on that. We talked to the auditors today, and it sounds like we will be able to take some of the money from the impact fees.
Yeah, I was there.
That was previously kind of set aside for, the lift station and the extension at the lift station, which was completed like in 16 maybe. But it was paid for with reserve fund fees. We're trying to kind of correct accounting.
We didn't pay for it with the really restricted dollars, we paid for it with the unrestricted dollars, and what we wanna do is have a time machine and go back and pay for it with the purpose dollars that were set aside for that.
Can we do that?
We can. So it's not an actual time machine, but it's it's auditor's magic.
Okay,
So, and that'll help the sewer reserve too, so, and that'll be good, 'cause we've got upcoming sewer projects that, the lining project, which will probably happen next year. And another dig and replace project right after that, if we can come up with enough grant and reserve money, so that's good. We had 2 broken sewer lines we found with the camera that we dug up and fixed last week. And
Only 2?
well, that's the only
That's
2
the
we've got
bad.
to so
The
far.
two that they've seen thus far.
Yeah, the ones that they dug up.
Be ready to do a little bit of maybe a summary tonight too, if you would, the same thing.
You should just record them.
Well, and they are available, but I think there'll be more people that attend that meeting, and so
Yeah.
there's a lot of action there, so.
yeah.
So that's water, sewer,
Anything on the street?
pool is shut down, we
Pool
made
shut
it
down.
until Saturday with good water. Like we see that, it
So
was-
shut down for the
But it was warm.
Yeah, it worked.
I mean, temps outside.
They managed the pool covers pretty well to capture some solar energy and hold it in. We're probably 6 to 8 weeks out from getting a new boiler. I'm hoping, and we'll see how that goes, we're probably gonna just pull down and winterize it in the next 2 weeks, so we may, I don't know, I'll have to work with the installers and see if we just wait to install a new boiler and start up next year, or try and get it put in this winter, we can't really run it,
Right, wow.
so, and I've got that with pool. Parks, Willie's been doing a good job, haven't had too much going on, I got a request for putting the toilet back up at the soccer field, because they're starting a new season, so we did that. Got a request for some nets down tennis courts, so we got those ordered. And I think that's it, been watering the trees, so.
And we're waiting for the budget approval to do the street leveling.
Sidewalk.
And, sidewalk leveling on Broadway, and a very long list of, and now that that's done, Mr. State, here's what we'd like to have you step up and do on your side, so that's,
We're gonna pee into the wind on that one.
We have a building in Bridger, and the DOT is replacing all the sidewalks in Bridger.
What's that?
I said the DOT is replacing all the sidewalks in Bridger, in the downtown.
Was it,
we reviewed, we walked our sidewalks with them the first of this year, and the determination was that on this end of town, at least in the business district, all of the problems were small problems less than 6 feet, and therefore they were city maintenance issues. There are a couple of exceptions to that down in front of the Roosevelt Center, down in front of the parking center, that are DOT replacement things by that scale. I'd like to think that we'll see those get done. I don't know when they started the conversation in the Bridger, but I guarantee you it wasn't.
Their sidewalks are good.
But I'm guaranteeing that, I guarantee they didn't start them last week, so.
No.
What we're doing is our due diligence, so we have a right to ask them to step up and do their parts.
well, we can say, hey, you did this for Bridger.
Yeah, I know, that's why I'm just saying that, like, Bridger has really nice sidewalks, and
We're doing
I'm not
Bridger.
sure why they were replacing them.
Their public works director did a better job of arguing their case, I guess.
They probably didn't
I don't-
sign
I don't think they have a public works director.
Yeah.
Our agreement's pretty rough
Yeah.
with DOT.
And I think, and I think it's worth, I mean, knowing that they've done it down in Bridger is a worthwhile conversation. What did they do right that we didn't do right, and how do we get on that
And then, as far
program?
as I know, we aren't getting assessed any fees for it in some of our properties, so. Anyway, anything else?
Probably, but I don't.
She doesn't have anything written down. Nothing on streets?
I haven't heard on the EDA grant. We did do a couple little paving projects. I'm gonna have John come back next week and patch a couple more things. We don't have a lot of money for asphalt right now. We've pretty much spent it all already, just because we took a lot of majority of last year and this year's gas tax to apply towards the match for the EDA grant. So if it turns out we don't get that, then they'll probably be able to do some more streets.
But we'd rather have we'd rather
Yeah.
turn our 400,000 into a couple million, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when, you had, I think originally said like mid-July that you
Mhm.
thought you'd hear from them, what, nothing?
We have heard lots, just nothing official.
But they've been in contact and things sound promising.
Sort of. At one point, about 3 weeks ago, maybe-ish, they said that they told Brandon that we should expect an award letter.
And we've been asked if we've seen the award letter yet, and it's
And
like.
that-
Yeah, I remember that back where the post office
And I
maybe.
think
Oh, God.
when Brandon puts them on it, I ask him every week, and the answer is always the same, is that, they're really busy at EDA. So, I don't know.
Okay.
I guess we just wait, keep our fingers.
We don't spend it until the check gets here.
Okay, just waiting.
And by the way, that's another one of those that would come with an anticipated, we'd have to do a budget amendment to basically account for that, those very specific projects.
Great. Thank you, Mike.
Mhm.
And, anything else that anybody wants to discuss? We've got another 8 minutes,
Yeah.
or, no, we've got more than that, don't we? Yeah.
Alan's waiting.
Alan,
Yeah.
Alan?
Hey, if we have 8 minutes, or could I take a color, could I get maybe just run some ideas by you guys? This is, Parks Board related stuff, Arbor Day Foundation 2025 grant application. The Parks Board hasn't had a meeting in a while for whatever reasons, but can I just like run 3 initial ideas by you guys and kind of get some initial guidance and feedback?
Sure.
Number 1 would be a much smaller tree giveaway, because there were, I guess, some that didn't get given away. So maybe like 30 or 40 trees, maybe about a $10,000 ask. That'd be the first thing. Hopefully not too, I don't know, confusing or contentious. Number 2, and again, this is with an eye towards like minimizing the work and demands on Public Works, would be request $10,000 to hire some company, outside company, presumably to remove the dead and hazardous trees in the city. Do you guys think that's something we'd actually do? I mean, there's not a whole lot of tree removal companies out here, but do you think that would be a realistic ask? Because I know from Arbor Day Foundation's point of view, the initial feedback is like, yeah, that's something we could potentially fund. So does that sound feasible?
you've been driving by my house.
I believe our Public Works Director has already been in conversation with Parks, because we've talked about doing that tree cleanup. As far as the tree planting, I would say make sure you're coordinating with Roger, because I may be wrong, but I thought I heard somebody asked him at the last meeting if we were gonna do something similar to what we did last year on the Arbor Day, and he said absolutely not, and I think his feel was it took away all the attention and focus from everything else. So I would say make sure you're in sync with your board, because that was what I was thinking you were at that one, but maybe not. But they were talking about going for an Arbor Day grant for removal of dead trees, basically to go make sure we are in line with the last tree study that was done before we go back in a future year and ask for additional money to update a study. It was felt that we wanted to have taken action on the one that we already had.
Sure, for sure. So this would, we definitely have jettisoned the idea of getting in the coming year an updated tree inventory. That's definitely off the list, but the removal of trees would be a separate issue. And then the third one, which would love to hear some ideas, because I know nothing about this, is Courtney Long back in the day said, how about planting willow seedlings along Rock Creek to prevent erosion? And that would be, you know, possibly a volunteer driven thing with no ongoing maintenance. I don't know anything about that, but do you guys have any initial feedback for that before the next upcoming meeting?
There isn't any ongoing maintenance, because they all washed away the first time it rained. So that was part of the problem we had with the last one. So I think bring all of these up with Parks Board.
Are you saying that they did plant willows?
There was some, or they looked at some like down on the boat ramp and stuff.
And they put a bunch in over where they had to put the bank back, and I think those all
But I mean, outside of a 100-year flood, do you think that would?
It wasn't a 100-year
It was-
flood that
it
they
was-
went away with, that was this year.
That was-
that was
Yeah, it was
this
after
year.
when they're trying to reshore up,
Okay,
so, and then they just didn't make it through.
so this already happened like last year?
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
and that doesn't mean that it can't be done again, but it's not like it's not been thought of or tried or done. One of the things I did like about the tree program last year was that it was the intent right from the beginning was not, let's plant 75 trees. The intent was, let's make sure that 2 years from now, we have 75 trees still growing. And so
Yep.
that was a, you know, that's a more meaningful kind of target and approach and stuff on it, so. But these are conversations that I've heard come up in parks
I
several
think-
times, but I remember when the Arbor Day thing came up Roger made a comment, and I think, and because I asked and pushed back and said kind of what and why, and I don't want to speak for him, but his concern was that took away the focus from being able to address on anything. You know, there's a limited amount of people resources, both city and volunteers both, and I felt that my takeaway and understanding was that he felt that there was a lot of things
I
that
think-
suffered because,
We don't have any, we're out of space on public.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the big one that I
That
understood.
was his main
Yep.
focus, was we don't have.
Because I think in terms of the volunteer efforts and then the paid efforts, all of that was beautiful. Like, I think that was very well managed and well handled. But I think what Mike said and as Roger said, it was, again, more so the fact that where are we gonna put another 75 trees or, yeah.
I think a good project for next year is we have not done anything with the 2 previous inventories.
to go
Yeah.
through and get rid of the dead stuff.
They're
clean
They haven't been utilized at all, and they're hard to utilize, but one's really good function, and it's easy, and it falls, it's what we discussed last time, what Alan brought up, but if you go through there, they identify trees that are hazardous, that are public safety hazard, and we just identify all those trees, have somebody give us a quote to remove those trees, and make that the grant in the project, and then we're actually using the inventory, and we're actually making the place safe, doing
Yeah,
good
it's
work.
safer and it looks better and the trees stay healthier.
It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and look, I've got, DNRC offered grants for that too, and they get funded.
And,
We'll get the money.
and part of it is going back to the approach and methodology here. We're not picking up rocks and finding money and then figuring out how to spend it. We're identifying a need that we have. Let's go out and clean up some trees, let's improve the safety, and by the way, let's go do something with the last tree study before we go get a new one, so that it won't just be the same information.
Yeah,
And then go out and look for that grant money, that project money, that et cetera.
yeah, I like the idea of actually doing things with resources that we have and,
A few years ago, Northwest Energy came through and we identified a whole bunch of trees that were past their life cycle,
yep,
a hazard, could possibly, if they go, are they gonna go through a power line? And it was all taken care of, this one, they took them out.
I have a question with that for Arbor Day. Is there any chance that we can potentially offer that service to some of our residents on their homes and at their properties?
That would be amazing.
Because it's a really expensive undertaking and a lot of folks do not need, like,
Very dangerous.
and with the windstorms that we get here, like,
And late wet snows and,
exactly. I mean, that would be a wonderful program that if we could offer it to residents.
Yeah, it is a costly thing, because we
Yeah.
have quite a few on our property where we're just kind of holding our breath and waiting and
I had to
hoping
take down 2
We've
and,
taken down 5 in the last week.
oh my gosh.
so the question is, and so there's one to go look at and see if it exists, right? Is there a grant that residents can use to take down those trees on private properties, not just residential properties?
That's city property.
That sounds like a pretty straightforward question. I'd be happy to ask Arbor Day Foundation if such a pot of money, if we applied for and if awarded, could remove trees from private property. Can I go back to 2 quick clarifications? Number one, the 2017 tree survey would be the main source of information in my like kind of initial estimate of where the dead and hazardous trees would be, which would be removed if we were awarded $10,000 to remove them. So that would be using the prior tree survey information in a useful way, even though it's 8 years later, many of them are probably still there. And number two, I was definitely not suggesting that we would be asking for trees to plant on city property because, yeah, we're probably already saturated, but just a smaller 30 to 40 amount of trees to give way to the public who seems pretty interested in free trees.
Does that include Lucas?
We've had the, have you talked to them about the tree share program that we've had in the past? Are you up to that? So like what we did last year as opposed to, meaning year before last as opposed to this year? Because that was a program that we'd worked on for years and years.
Well, I think
Yeah, but
we
then
can give
also,
it free.
yeah, free is better than having to pay a little bit.
Yeah,
I know I bought one with my, I
Yeah, and
bought it,
then-
but I just did it in my classroom as like for Arbor Day, that's what I did. We went into Arbor Day, we learned all about the zoning and everything, and then we, as a classroom, picked a tree for my yard.
and if it was just free tree giveaways, we could also do it very similar to with our parks cleanup, so I mean,
It would be very nice.
let's try and bring that back
Meaning
maybe.
bribe for donation or
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
bribe volunteers is the best way to do it.
bribe with trees, not beer?
Or both.
Both? Like, whoa.
Don't give us the beer.
Whoa.
But I think that those are all
Mhm.
great ideas that definitely should be recircled back. Does anyone else have any feedback on those? Any questions, concerns?
No, finding some assistance though to remove trees would be very beneficial. I mean, obviously citywide first, and then
Yeah.
residential.
Alan, is the deadline for that one January, is that?
Mid-January, yeah. Yeah.
And again, thank you for, continuing to work on this kind of stuff on behalf of the city. It's much
A work in
appreciated.
progress.
All right, anything else?
Well, I was gonna do a sustainability board and parks board update, but I think everyone else pretty much took care of that,
Yeah,
so.
you took care of this.
All right, they want to make an emotion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Get 30 minutes this time before
I can eat my